Let's talk about tariffs. They're one of those economic buzzwords you hear tossed around in the news, but what do they actually mean for you and your wallet? Imagine you want to buy a beautiful teapot from another country. Maybe it's got a unique design you can't find at home, or it's just a lot cheaper than the local options. But when it finally arrives, your government steps in and adds a special tax to the price, making that teapot suddenly a lot more expensive than you expected. That's a tariff, a tax on imported goods, supposedly to protect local industries from foreign competition and keep money circulating within the country. The idea is simple. If foreign goods cost more, you'll be more likely to buy local instead. It's a kind of economic patriotism enforced by your wallet, whether you like it or not. But the reality? Tariffs just make things more expensive for you, the consumer, or squeeze the profits of the businesses that import those goods. Sometimes both. It's like a surprise fee at a nightclub. Unexpected, annoying, and it messes with your plans. You thought you knew what you were paying, but suddenly there's an extra charge at the door. Governments also use tariffs as bargaining chips in international disputes, a high-stakes, slow-motion poker game where each side tries to outbluff the other, hoping to win concessions or protect their own industries. This can spiral into trade wars, with countries slapping tariffs on each other's goods, making everything costlier and everyone grumpier. Suddenly your teapot is caught in the crossfire of global politics. Tariffs are a government's way of nudging you to buy local, but the consequences are messy and unpredictable. Prices go up, choices go down, and the market gets distorted. Sure, they might protect some jobs in certain industries, but they also raise prices for everyone and constrain relationships between countries, making cooperation harder. It's a bit like your dad cranking up the thermostat to save money on heating. Good intentions, but everyone ends up sweating and uncomfortable, wondering if it was really worth it. Tariffs sound simple on paper, but their impact is anything but. They create ripple effects that can be hard to predict, affecting everything from jobs to prices to international friendships. In the end, you pay more and the world gets a little more complicated, all because of a tax that was supposed to make things better. Now let's talk about Amazon's supply chain. It's not just a chain. It's a global web connecting raw materials, factories, ships, planes, warehouses, and delivery vans. Take a pair of headphones, plastic from one country, electronics from another, assembled in a third, shipped across oceans, and delivered to your door. Amazon's power comes from scale and efficiency, owning planes, vans, and warehouses to shave off time and cost. Their goal? Control as much of the journey as possible, making delivery faster and cheaper. It's a relentless data-driven system that turns the world into one giant warehouse for your every whim. Amazon's supply chain is less a chain, more a living organism, moving millions of products with astonishing precision. It's a modern marvel, and maybe a little terrifying if you think about it, all so you can get that phone charger tomorrow. You might have seen headlines like, "Trump panics as Amazon abandons us supply chains." These stories are everywhere, on your social feed, in news alerts, and even on TV. The idea that Amazon, one of the world's most powerful companies, could just walk away from America is enough to grab anyone's attention. It sounds dramatic. A corporate giant fleeing America because of tariffs. The headlines make it seem like Amazon is packing up overnight, leaving empty warehouses and deserted parking lots in its wake. The claim: Amazon is cutting ties with the US, moving its entire operation elsewhere, leaving chaos behind. Imagine the impact. Thousands of jobs lost, communities disrupted, and a ripple effect across the entire economy. This would mean redirecting all shipping, warehousing, and logistics away from American workers and infrastructure. The scale of such a move would be unprecedented, affecting millions of packages and countless businesses that rely on Amazon every day. It's a bold claim, like Coca-Cola quitting America overnight. The idea is almost unthinkable, given how deeply these companies are woven into the fabric of American life. The story frames it as a political showdown, Amazon versus a president, with the economy at stake. It's painted as a high-stakes battle, with both sides refusing to back down. But explosive claims like this are usually more about clicks than facts. Sensationalism sells, and these headlines are designed to stir up emotion and controversy. Amazon is deeply embedded in American life. Abandoning the US would be corporate self-sabotage. Millions of Americans depend on Amazon for jobs, shopping, and even small business sales. The US is Amazon's biggest market by far. No other country comes close in terms of sales, infrastructure, or customer base. Leaving would be like a band canceling its biggest tour because guitar strings got pricier. It just doesn't make business sense, no matter how you look at it. It just doesn't add up. When you dig deeper, the facts tell a very different story from the headlines. Sensational headlines rarely tell the real story. To understand what's really happening, you have to look past the hype and examine the facts. So is Amazon abandoning its US supply chains? The answer, absolutely not. There's no credible evidence for this claim, quite the opposite in fact. Amazon has been opening more US warehouses, investing billions in American infrastructure and hiring hundreds of thousands of workers. They're building more fulfillment centers, sorting hubs, and even experimenting with drone delivery. Instead of leaving, Amazon is doubling down on its US presence. What tariffs have done is push Amazon and many companies to rethink where they source products. This isn't abandonment, it's diversification. If importing from China gets expensive, they look to Vietnam, Mexico, or India. The destination is still the US, just the route changes. Diversifying suppliers is standard business, not a dramatic retreat. The headlines confuse a logistical tweak with a world-shaking event. The reality is far less dramatic. Tariffs don't just affect Amazon, they shake up global supply chains everywhere. These taxes on imports and exports can lead to significant shifts in how and where products are made and sold. When tariffs hit, companies look for cheaper, tariff-free countries to manufacture goods. This often involves complex calculations and strategic planning to minimize costs and maximize efficiency. This has shifted manufacturing from China to places like Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, and Mexico. These countries offer competitive advantages such as lower labor costs and favorable trade agreements. It's not about abandoning China but hedging bets, spreading risk and cost. Diversifying manufacturing locations helps companies avoid over-reliance on a single country. Moving supply chains is complex and expensive, often taking years and millions of dollars. Companies must invest in new infrastructure, train local workforces, and navigate different regulatory environments. Many companies use a China plus one strategy, keep some production in China but add another country as backup. This approach balances the benefits of China's established infrastructure with the need for diversification. The result? A more distributed, resilient global trade map. This new landscape can better withstand economic shocks and geopolitical tensions. This creates new opportunities, but also short-term costs and challenges. Companies must adapt quickly to changing conditions, which can strain resources and disrupt operations. Tariffs act like a rock in a pond, sending ripples that force companies to rethink their global footprint. Every decision has a cascading effect on the entire supply chain. The old China-centric model is giving way to a multipolar system. This shift is redefining global trade dynamics and creating a more interconnected world. It's a messy, ongoing transition. Companies must stay agile and responsive to navigate this evolving landscape. The world of trade is constantly shifting beneath our feet. As tariffs and trade policies evolve, so too must the strategies of global businesses. Companies change supply chains for many reasons. Tariffs are just one piece of the puzzle. Cost is king. Businesses chase lower labor, cheaper materials, and better tax deals. But speed and reliability matter too. Nearshoring production to places like Mexico cuts shipping times and reduces risk. Political stability is crucial. Companies avoid countries with unpredictable governments or sudden policy changes. Diversification is smart risk management. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Technology and consumer demands also drive change. Automation makes it possible to bring manufacturing back to high-wage countries, a trend called reshoring. Consumers want ethical, transparent supply chains, pushing companies to source responsibly. All these factors, cost, speed, risk, ethics, keep companies in a constant state of adjustment. The global supply chain is a never-ending corporate shuffle. Adapt or fall behind. In the digital age, we're bombarded with headlines designed to provoke, not inform. Stories like Amazon abandons America mix big brands, politics, and fear to grab your attention. The trick: be skeptical of anything that sounds too dramatic or perfectly fits a political narrative. Real life is usually more complicated and less exciting than clickbait suggests. Check the source. Is it reputable or just a random blog? Look for evidence, official reports, multiple experts, not just anonymous insiders. If you can't trace a claim to its origin, be suspicious. Challenge your own biases and read from a variety of sources. That's how you separate fact from hype. To sum up, the claim that Amazon is abandoning US supply chains over tariffs is false. It's a sensational story built on misunderstanding, or deliberate distortion, of global trade. Amazon is investing more in America, not fleeing. What's really happening is supply chain diversification, a smart response to tariffs, not a panic move. This story shows why fact-checking matters in a world full of viral misinformation. Sensational headlines prey on our fears and biases but rarely reflect reality. Knowing the difference between diversification and abandonment is crucial. Always question dramatic claims, check sources, and look for real evidence. The truth is usually more complex and less exciting than the headlines. Choose understanding over panic, the facts matter.